Good evening again on a Friday night, settling in. Go ahead and plug that in. You got time?
I will.
We got time? All right. Tom Neiman, Jason and Dell, Varsity Sports Live. Jody Norstedt standing by up in West Fargo, and a huge game up there tonight between Bismarck Century and West Fargo Cheyenne. We'll get to that. In South Dakota, we had the live game here tonight. Pierre keeps rolling. They beat Aberdeen Central on the road.
Plenty of touchdowns in that one. If you like highlights, make sure to stay tuned for that one.
Lincoln Keenholz, one of the great quarterbacks in the state of South Dakota right now, with 7 more touchdowns in that game. We will get to that. Let's go to the scoreboard starting in North Dakota. This was the showdown tonight. West Fargo Cheyenne and Bismarck Century both 7-0 going into this one. The Mustangs win it. That ends a 29-game winning streak by Bismarck Century. And Jody Norstedt, much more on that game coming up here in a couple of minutes tonight. West Fargo gets to 6-2, 35-28 tonight over the Mandan Braves. Bismarck Legacy over Bismarck High tonight, 38-22. Fargo Davies gets to 6-2. One of the weird stories in North Dakota, in my opinion, that they're not going to make the playoffs, but they are 6-2 now after a win over Fargo North.
I don't think it's just your opinion, Tom. I think they're going to make some real changes next year.
The live game we had was that game tonight. Jody will have some more on Davies and North as well. Shanley over Red River, 49-7. Shanley gets to 5-3. Jamestown is 6-2 on the year after a shutout of Minot tonight, 21-0. In 11A, Fargo South over Devils Lake, 48-7. South gets its third win. Thursday night, it was St. Mary's over Dickinson, 34-0. Bismarck St. Mary's gets to 7-1 on the season. In 11B in North Dakota, Kindred is 8-1 after a 33-8 win tonight over Lisbon. Oaks gets to 5-4 as they beat Sargent County 40-20. Also in 11B, the Lacs-Burlington knocks off Velva tonight, 26-12. It was Hillsborough Central Valley. The Burros are now 8-1 after a win over Thompson tonight. Bowman County is 8-1. They beat Beulah 34-8. First loss of the season for Beulah, and that game's still going on. Well, 34-8 is the final on that one that I have. Jody's got more on that coming up. Bishop Ryan is 8-1. They beat Nedrose 28-12. Langdon, Edmore, Munich 8-1 on the season, 45-20 tonight over Carrington. And Shiloh Christian gets to 7-2 in 11B with a win over Killdeer, 35-28. South Dakota finals tonight, starting with the big schools. Jefferson had Harrisburg down 24-21. Harrisburg comes back, wins it 42-24. Highlights of that one coming up as the Tigers, number 1, get to 8-0. Roosevelt is rolling as, Rapid City Central and Brandon Valley first. Brandon Valley is 8-0. Harrisburg and Brandon Valley coming up play each other on Thursday next week in the final game of the regular season. Roosevelt is rolling. The Riders over Lincoln tonight, 49-21. We'll take a look at that. Washington wins at Rapid City, 45-0. Highlights as well from that game. O'Gorman at home, 46-0 over Huron tonight as OG evens out at 4-4 on the season.
3 big weeks in a row for their quarterback, Bennett Dannenbring. I mean, they've had a little less competition, but they are putting the pedal to the metal. The night's looking good.
Area, number 1 in 11AA, stays unbeaten, 8-0. They got one more game coming up with West Central, but the Titans keep rolling, 45-12 tonight over Spearfish. Pierre over Aberdeen Central. Highlights of this one coming up. We had it on live here tonight on Midco Sports. Lincoln Keenholz 7 touchdown passes as the Governors get to 7-1. Brookings over Yankton, 35-20. Brookings is 6-2 now, and they've got a date coming up with Pierre. Mitchell, a couple of late touchdowns to beat Watertown, 27-13, second win of the year for the Colonels.
Josh Grostadier over 100 yards rushing, and that really helped the Colonels push for their second win of the year.
Thursday night in Hartford, Madison over West Central, 27-7. The Bulldogs are 8-0 on the season in 11A. Canton tonight over Sioux Falls Christian, 41-22.
Canton had a couple guys out, and they still put up 41. They look good tonight.
Dell Rapids, a couple highlights from this one coming up. The Warriors all over Dakota Valley, 49-16. Bridgewater Emory Ethan is 5-3 now. The Seahawks over Baltic tonight, 54-0. Sioux Valley is 7-1, Jandy.
That's a team to watch out for. This is the Big East Conference Championship. Tough loss for Beersford after a slow start for them.
Look at this final, 6-0. Mount Vernon Plankinton over Woonsocket, Wessington Springs, Sanborn Central.
We've got a highlight of that game.
Mount Vernon Plankinton is 7-1 on the season, by the way. Howard in 9A over Hanson in 9AA. First loss for Hanson. Howard, Jace Syfor with a touchdown tonight. We got some highlights coming
Another
up.
one of those conference championships. A lot of these 9-man and 11B conferences are having their championship night tonight.
Parkston and Woolsey-Wessington total up 106. Parkston gets to 6-2 over the defending 9B champions. Chester is 6-2, 63-14 win over Garrison tonight.
Yeah, Chester, they flexed a little bit tonight. We'll see a couple highlights of that one.
Smet is 8-0, 34-16 over Del Rapids St. Mary's. A couple highlights of that as well. And Avon's Pirates are 8-0 after a win over Hitchcock-Tulare tonight.
Now some 9B ranked action going at it.
All right, Harrisburg, #1 team in 11 AAA in South Dakota, and they just keep finding ways to get it done. They hosted Jefferson tonight.
Yeah, last year they started their schedule out with some of the easier teams and then had harder teams throughout the year for the last couple years. This year, it seems like it's gone the other way a little bit, and they're taking advantage by putting some good games together. This one at home against Jefferson, first ever meeting.
Gavin Ross has been a problem for opposing defenses.
Yeah.
On the ground for Harrisburg.
Yeah, and I thought that was the plan of attack that Harrisburg should go to tonight, is Gavin Ross. Jefferson, they've got some defenders, but just not a lot of depth up front.
This game tight in the first half. Talon Ashley taking off, taking a hit, and a touchdown to tie it up in the first quarter.
Yeah, he's the X factor. He keeps Jefferson in every game they play because he's so hard to defend.
How many weeks in a row has Griffin Wilde, not maybe in a row, but this year had kickoff returns for touchdowns?
I don't know. I should have looked, but I feel like it's at least 4. He is electric. Not only the best receiver, he's shifty, he's fast, and he's just got power to go with it. Nice run back by Wilde.
Kick 6 puts Jefferson in the lead. Andrew Walter is back for Harrisburg.
Yeah, he was out for a week or so. He's come back strong, running that post, that fly that he loves, and Jacob Knuth in stride hits him.
So Harrisburg's up 21-14 just before the half after that conversion is good there for Knuth. And the Tigers had a 21-14 lead, but just before the half.
There he is again, Andrew Walter, finding a way to come down with the big touchdown catch. And he had a big night. They had a couple of injuries over the last couple of weeks with Varenfus out and Walter out. They came back, and then Gavin Ross, he iced it in the second half.
Ross touchdown after Jefferson had led this thing 24-21. The Tigers come screaming back and win it 42-24. Gavin Ross on the ground with a couple. Lincoln Carlson and Walter with touchdown receptions, and Harrisburg is 8-0 after the 42-24 win.
Yeah, honestly, I would not want to remember senior night going out with a loss. So the environment out here tonight was incredible. Tiger Nation brings it every week. I'm just excited that we got the win. Every day in practice, really, we're repping every play. We got a really good chemistry right now. We've been together for 4 years now. A lot of us are seniors. We feel really confident in our team right now. We're making a lot of plays offensively. We just got to start faster and accelerate to the middle, finish strong the whole game. We got to put a full, complete game together. We're on a mission right now. We're not going to let anybody stop us, or at least we're going to prepare like we've never won and play like we never lost. So we're really confident right now, and we got a big one next week.
They got a big one next week, and he said it. The slow starts are the one thing that maybe is holding Harrisburg back from playing that complete game. They played close with Jefferson off the shoot in this one. They've had some slow starts against the Sioux Falls teams in the middle of their schedule, but they're undefeated, and they're playing another undefeated team next week.
Against Brandon Valley, but Harrisburg, they get behind, come back, and win again tonight. All right, Lincoln and Roosevelt in the Sioux Falls showdown at Howard Wood Field. Lincoln 5-2 coming into this one. Roosevelt at 3-4. Jack Smith fumbles. Muhammad is on it. And a couple plays later, Tyree Nave with a touchdown run.
Yeah, he had almost 100 yards on the day, and the defense showed up. This was a big start for Roosevelt to be able to force a fumble. They owned this first half against Lincoln.
Jackson Brower setting up a little screen to Nelson Wright, who goes the distance. 21-0 Roosevelt.
feel like they've just figured it out. I mean, Jackson Brower's throwing a nice ball. Jackson Grevengood has just come to life in this second half. There's another big catch by Grevengood. This is a team that's really found their identity, and that's something that Kim Nelson talked about. We didn't have an identity through those first 4 games of the year.
Lincoln, big play in the special teams there. Christian Stanford returns it. Stepped out at the 9-yard line, but Jack Smith will go to Stanford for the touchdown, and Lincoln finally gets on the board.
I think
but
it's Johnny Cooper.
It's already 28-7. Ensuing kickoff, Tyree Nave with a touchdown return, and they got playmakers making plays all over the place.
Yeah, he had 100 yards rushing and another almost 100 yards returning just on that one, and they were a problem today. That defensive backfield has been opportunistic, but look at this. A little tap and catch. Saw Muhammad do it last week. They really made Tate Schaefer work for everything he had to earn tonight.
Late touchdown there for the Patriots, but Roosevelt all over him tonight, 49-21. So the Riders, they've got something really rolling here at the end of the season. Brower is good again. Tyree Nave on the ground. Nelson Wright, everybody gets in on it. 49-21 final. All right, in Rapid City tonight, Stevens hosting Sioux Falls, Washington. Both teams 2-4 coming into this game, and this is the third play of the game. Max Thompson to Gabriel Cantor, and the defender slips there, and he goes 55 yards for the score, and Washington off and running on the road tonight in Rapid.
Yeah, this is a dangerous game for Washington, coming in off of a loss last week, playing on the road against Rapid City Stevens, but they came out, and I think that's Garrett Hoffman there who makes the pick.
Hoffman interception that leads to Elijah Tenai on the ground. It's 15-0 Washington, and they've figured out the ground game as well with the Tenais. Warriors' next possession.
It's been a big day for the Tenais, but it's been Elijah Tenai who's really commanded this team in the second half, and he gets the conversion there to help him out.
21-0 Washington. Jed Jensen had very little time tonight to find receivers. Tristan Fitzsimmons steps in and takes that back the other way. 28-0 Washington. Next possession, Tenai with the speed gets the ball down to the 2-yard line.
This Washington team might be a team that's better than their record. They evened it up with a win here, going 4-4, but man, this guy's dangerous. Elijah Tenai has been able to run past everybody since he's taken over that workhorse load for the Washington Warriors.
35-0 Warriors, more defense. Trig Otten stepping in front of that one on the overthrow.
I love what Trig Otten and Adjman and all those guys, Garrett Hoffman, the defensive backfield for the Warriors has been very, very tight this year.
He took it back here, but a penalty erased the 6 there after the pick. But Max Thompson will go to Josh Piper for the touchdown.
Yeah, good to see Piper making big plays. They're going to need him if they make a run in the playoffs.
45-0 Warriors over Rapid City Stevens tonight. All right, game we have live on Midco Sports in Aberdeen. Senior night for the Golden Eagles, taking on Pierre, the Governors. Coming in at 6-1. Their only loss to Harrisburg on this season. Lincoln Keenholz going to work early and going to Jet Zabel. And then Keenholz to Merkwan. Jack Merkwan stops at the 20. Looks like they're going to get him. Almost stops at the 10. They didn't get him there. 80 yards on the touchdown. That was his 13th touchdown reception of the year. This is his 14th to set a Pierre single season record.
They just have a flair for the dramatic, don't they? Keenholz buying time, makes a big play, finds his tight end here for the 4th touchdown of the first half as Jet Zabel absolutely trucks the defense.
Here's the 5th touchdown in the first quarter and a half. Matt Hansen to make it 32-0. And then Aberdeen Central kind of got it figured out. Carson Sarda around the side for 5 yards, 32-7. Sarda, after they get it right back, nifty move, goes 13 yards. It's 32-13. Keenholz with a rushing touchdown to push the lead to 39-13. Sam Rolfs, look at this play.
A little magic here, too, as Sam Rolfs goes for his life and says, you know what, my tight end's pretty athletic.
Watch the end here as Rolfs drags the linebacker into the end zone. So it's 39-20 at halftime. Keenholz comes out, avoids the rush again, goes to Cade Kaiser for a touchdown. And they open up a 25-point lead, but Aberdeen Central comes back. Rolfs on a run to make it 45-27.
Yeah, no quit in this Golden Eagle team, and they kept attacking. Rolfs running, Rolfs passing, finds Vogelai again.
After an onside kick, they get a 2-point conversion. It's 45-25 after the 2-point conversion here by Rolfs. So a 10-point game through 3 quarters, but Keenholz to Hansen, who gets behind that defense again. 7 touchdown passes for Lincoln Keenholz in a 52-35 win.
It's been a lot of fun watching Lincoln Keenholz hook up with Jack Merkwan this year. He hooked up with a lot of different guys, but he talked to us after the game about finding his main man, Jack Merkwan.
Yeah, I'm just very proud of him because I know that if I'm in trouble, he's the guy I can throw the ball to. So with that, I mean, when we played Huron a couple weeks ago, he was like 17 yards away from breaking it, and he was kind of upset with that. But yeah, so I think I'm really just happy for him, I guess, and I'm just glad to have him as one of my receivers.
Yeah, one of many receivers that he found tonight, and he had that huge first half. They contained him a little bit in the second half, but Pierre still is in a different category right now.
Threw his second interception of the season,
Yeah.
but 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the year so far for Lincoln Keenholz.
Pretty good.
All right, Governors keep rolling. Yankton and Brookings playing in Brookings tonight. A little streamer going on here, Jandy, is the Bobcats get by Yankton, and Pierre and Brookings have a date coming up, but what about tonight?
Well, this is a couple teams that are in the middle of the rankings right now, and Justin Kofel's been throwing the ball with a lot of confidence lately, and he finds his guy for an early lead in this one, 7-0. Then Rugby Riken for Yankton. Just finding a way to make a play, and this is what he's done all season long. You love to see the improvement that Rugby's made this year. It was polished off by a little touchdown run by James Stewart to get Yankton back into it, but the running game of Brookings has been dynamite this year, and this is one of the fastest guys in the state, Hunter Gray, getting it done. And then you fake it to Hunter Gray and let Kofel find a couple guys in the end zone. Gray's the one who comes up with it to get a 2-score lead. Yankton trying to stay relevant in this one. Rugby Riken finding one of his many receivers, and then James Stewart getting it done for another touchdown run. Down by 6 at this point, and then it's Brookings once again. Tyson Brand, he is such a two-way weapon, receiving and rushing the football. And in the end, the Brookings defense is really what's made them one of the strongest teams in the state this year. Got into great field position, and they let Hunter Gray finish this one off. They win it comfortably. They did it with the running game once again. And last heave for Yankton to try to stay in this game made it look a little closer than it was. They lose 35-20, but this was a Brookings performance from beginning to end. They contained this one. Rugby Riken did his best to keep his team afloat, but this Brookings team proved they're at least the number 3 team in the state.
Brookings and Pierre coming up next Thursday to round out the regular season. Bobcats at 6-2, Pierre be 7-1 going into that one. In 11A, this game on Thursday night out in Hartford. Madison in town. Madison #1. They have looked unbeatable really all season. First quarter, Nate Rickey to Peyton Wolf down to the 1-yard line. Trey Smith took that in for a touchdown, and the Dogs were off and running. Here's Trey Smith to make it 14-0.
Yeah, Trey Smith had 4 carries for 1 yard and 2 touchdowns, I think, on the night.
And a bunch of defense the rest of the night. Gavin Cook picked by Caden DeVries in the end zone.
Really, this is the difference for me. Madison's defense is opportunistic. They get the tackles for loss. They'll get the interceptions. And right here you'll see they get the big hits in the backfield. They get a couple sacks. I mean, it was such a team effort defensively. West Central didn't know what to do.
Johnson and Johnson on one of those sacks. Big pop there by Sutton Byrne for Madison. And the Madison defense allowed 39 yards rushing. They had 4 sacks, 3 takeaways. Bulldogs win at 27-7, and they are 8-0 on the season.
Yeah, they look like the #1 team again, Tom.
They do. Taking on Sioux Falls Christian to round out the regular season there. Dakota Valley and Dell Rapids tonight in Dells. And the Warriors still hanging around there in the 11A picture. Dell's up 35-0 at the half in this game, and a pick six here by Sutton Williams for the Warriors.
Yeah, it feels good to bounce back after losing to Madison last week, not being able to put anything together, and just come out with a really solid first half, and then they capitalize in the second half.
Dakota Valley punches one in here, but Dell's already up 42-8. And then Williams, who had that pick six on a touchdown run, and the Warriors romping tonight by a final of 49-16.
Yeah, the backups were in by the time our cameras got there, and Del Rapids did what they were supposed to do, hanging on to a top 5 spot. They'd really like to earn a home spot coming into the playoffs in 2 weeks if they can close this out next week.
In 11B, Jandy, Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan on the road at Baltic this afternoon, and
this is the only guy we need to talk about in this highlight.
Kobe Kaiser, touchdown.
Yeah, they're coming off of a couple tough losses this year, playing a team like Baltic, who has had a tough year, let's be honest, but they needed to show up big, and Kobe Kaiser did show up big.
14-0, Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan, Kaiser, third touchdown. 28-0, Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan in the lead. And then the Seahawks, Kaiser with the sack. And then, what's that? Clay Holm with the interception here.
I was going to say, I think he's looking for a game ball. He's been close all year. It's going to be tough this week. It's a lot of good performances.
Extra credit for sure.
Maybe.
Caden Klum keeps it himself. Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan up 35-0. They win it 54-0 tonight.
So in a class with a lot of 5-win teams, Bridgewater, Emory, Ethan at least keeps up with the rest of that group in the middle of the pack.
All right, what about this game tonight? Mount Vernon Plankinton at home against Woonsocket, Wessington Springs, Sanborn Central.
I mean, really good defenses in this one, but Reed Roos gets the only score of the game right there. And actually, that was out of the end zone, so that was no good. But then they rallied down the field in the third quarter. Reed Roos did get the touchdown. That was the only score of the game. Really, this is all about defense. And the defense for Mount Vernon Plankinton probably not getting enough press this year. They're not in the rankings, folks, in 11B. I've been voting for them for several weeks.
What?
And their only loss on the year was Winter. And that was the closest loss or the toughest win that Winter's had all year. Please, people, beware.
Put them in top
MVP.
5, please.
Yeah, at least top 5. Come on, guys.
They're 7-1. Titans over the Blackhawks tonight, 6-0 on the Roos touchdown. Howard and Hanson tonight, Jandy, and again 9A and 9AA here. Howard and 9A, Hanson 9AA. Jay Syfor, the big man for the Tigers.
They're playing for the Corn Belt title here, and this shows how good 9A is, and that shows how good Jay Syfor is. Jacks fans, get ready.
Interception there for Jackson Jarding for Hanson. But they could not get on the board. They return the favor here as Griffin Clubb steps into that one and takes it away for the Tigers.
Well, Hanson was forced to pass a little more than they usually do, and that cost him on that one. And then when you make turnovers in your own territory, it gets even tougher.
Look at Syfor out there just demanding attention. Howard capitalizes on that turnover.
Nice
as
run.
Carson Feldhaus, stop and go, takes it in. 13-0 Howard. And then John Callies tacks on another one. Tigers go up 19-0, and they win it 26-0 tonight.
The Corn Belt champions from Howard. They are 9A. They stay unbeaten. First loss of the year for the Hanson Beavers, who are still the ranked #1 team in 9AA. I think 9AA is going to be a lot of fun, and 9A is some really quality teams.
Go back to Dell Rapids. Dell St. Mary taking on Smet tonight.
Smet was without Kalen Gary due to a thumb injury, and Del Rapids St. Mary took advantage early.
5-yard run by Nick Gaspar. And St. Mary in the lead, 8-0. Smet comes back here, ties it up though. Caden Fast with the touchdown grab. Nice fingers there, 8-8 to tie it up. And then he does it again here, a little further out, 50 yards on this one to Fast. And Smet, after being down early and being without Gary, they come back to take the lead 14-8. And they go on to win it tonight, Jandy, 34-16. Smet is 8-0.
It was 14-8 at halftime, a lot closer than people thought this one was going to be. And in the second half, Smet pulls away. But I would not look past Del Rapids St. Mary in the 9B playoffs. I think they can play with some of those top teams in 9B. They've gotten better and better as the year's gone on.
All right, in Garrison tonight, Chester area. And Stratton Eppard taking on Garrison. Dragons on the board first. Or here, they get on the board. Dylan Kent with the keeper. Chester still in the lead at 28-14. And then Eppard to Jovi Wolf just inside the pylon. Chester up 35-14 at halftime.
I think we got two all-state quarterbacks in 9AA going at it here with Stratton Eppard and Dylan Kent, two of the best. And Eppard just put on a show.
It's Wolf again. Chester goes on to roll on the road here. 63-14 the final as Eppard and the Flyers get to 6-2.
Yeah, big win for them. Stratton Eppard is a guy who I think can carry Chester, and he just outdid Dylan Kent tonight. Big win for Chester, and I think they're a team now that Hanson's lost. I mean, they're in play for one of the top teams in 9AA.
Avon tonight, Hitchcock-Tulare, and Avon trying to get to 8-0.
Yeah, Riley Ruxdahl gets the touchdown. They go up by 6. They do not convert, up by 8. Hitchcock-Tulare has a chance to come back and get this one. Eric Salmon goes to the corner, scores with less than a minute to go. They go for 2 to try to tie this game. And look at the team defense by Avon. They keep them out of the end zone. They hold on to that 2-point lead, and Hitchcock-Tulare comes into Avon and tries to upset the undefeated team, and Avon turns them away. They go undefeated this year. What a year for Avon. They came into the year as a relative unknown. They had some really good teams in the early 2000s and have been irrelevant for the last few years, and look at what they've done. They've put together an undefeated team and really are the favorites coming down the stretch in 9B. And I'll tell you what, 9B playoffs, maybe not the best teams, but it's going to be a lot of fun because there's going to be a lot of parity in that class.
Yeah, you go back a ways with Hitchcock-Tulare. They used to be really
they
good
were at the
back
Dome
in the
several
day.
times as well. Yeah.
Avon as well coming back this year. All right, Madison keeps rolling. Harrisburg and Brandon Valley keep rolling, both 8-0, and we've got their game next Thursday night.
Oh, I can't wait.
Out in Brandon, Harrisburg at Brandon Valley. All right, when we come back, we'll get to Jody Norstead and the North Dakota highlights of the night.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University. Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. October, what is today? 15th. It's late in the regular season. Let's get up to West Fargo where they've got playoffs, I think, coming up tomorrow maybe. Jody, fill us in on this. But a couple of huge games. Bismarck Century, West Fargo, Sheyenne. You guys had Davies tonight. Jody, what's going on?
Yeah, and representing the 9-man ranks, we have Enderlin Maple Valley, who's going to play a playoff game. The last stand for that program this year, they're going to play Mayport CG. There are going to be some schools co-oping, actually, along with those. Grant County Flasher, another helmet. The Storm represented. They'll be in the playoffs tomorrow in the first round. The top 8 teams getting a bye in there. But the big showdown today, you guys mentioned it, 1 versus 2. Century and Sheyenne squaring off. Let's go to the highlights, baby. This one was a grinder, as they always are between these two teams. The last 2 Dakota Bowl wins, Century winning in shutout fashion. Here's the handoff to Race Wilson, fittingly named. He races 23 yards. After pounding the ball inside, Connor Entz caps it off. A 3-yard touchdown run for the NDSU head coach's son. Patriots block the extra pointer. 6-0 Sheyenne. On the ensuing possession, Brady Dahl under pressure. He's going to be picked off by Matt Entz's other son, Kellen Entz, the senior. What a pick by Kellen. The Mustangs' Josh Henricks put on a clinic of power football. You can't hear the hits, but they were powerful. And then they get to the goal line, and Henricks bulldozing his way in behind that offensive line. Grant Warkentine calls his own number on the 2-point conversion to make it 14-0. You know, points are always precious when you play Century. We pick it up late in the fourth, still 14-0. Mustangs defense had good coverage, and that leads to Dell taking off for 20 yards. However, a few plays later, under immense pressure, watch Dell first off just scrambling around here. Sheyenne able to get to him for most of the night. Nick Renner is going to end up picking him off, so a huge turnover, and that seals it. Sheyenne, for the first time in school history, beats Bismarck Century 14-0. The Mustangs remain unbeaten. They stop the streak. 29 straight games for Bismarck Century. The win streak is no more, and Sheyenne was loving it on their home field.
They're good. I'm not going to take that away from them. They were good boys, and I think we just played better as a team. We just wanted to get back at them for that heartbreaking loss we had last year, and I think it really showed. And it was huge even just seeing that we scored on them because we hadn't done that before, and the win was just even better.
Let's go to West Fargo against Mandan, another huge one. Midway through the second quarter, Mandan really getting on a roll. Lincoln Wiseman has been really good since he got back going with that Mandan lineup, up 14-13 after a scoop and score on a block punt. Wiseman again. Mandan scores 21 points in less than 7 minutes to take a 28-13 lead. West Fargo has an answer. Parker Nelson, we know how good he's been the last handful of weeks. With 30 seconds left in the half, gets in, packed down 8 going into the break. Momentum doesn't stop there. It carries into the second half. Caden Zepeda, what a catch from Peyton Jancy, and he gets down towards the inside the red zone. That sets up another touchdown plunge by Nelson. And then how about Nelson again? From 5 yards out, boom. They get the 2-pointer to take a 35-28 lead, and that is your final as the Packers hang on to win it. How about that for the West Fargo Packers? They go on to win 35-28. They move to 6-2, a very key win for the East over the West. And West Fargo picks up the big dub. They get Shanley next week, which will be a big one as far as playoff seedings go against that beast from the East. Let's go to Bismarck and Legacy, another one with 2 playoff teams involved. Potentially, Bismarck still has to beat Williston next week because they weren't beating Legacy tonight. Logan Miller, room up the middle, 38 yards to the house, the go-ahead touchdown. Second quarter now, Miller back to pass, and he's under pressure. Ethan Stewart knocks this ball free. Check it out, boom. Big physical hit that Bismarck has been known for. Bridger Owens jumps on it. Bismarck forces the turnover. Short time later, Caden Fisher dropping back, throws to Hudson Schroeder. 20-yard score. It's 15-14 BHS. It's been tough sledding without Isaiah Hoos for that offense, but finding a little bit of life. Legacy retakes the lead, though. Jack Byberg knocking in the short field goal. 17-15 Sabres. Legacy marches down to the 2, and then Miller time. He keeps it and adds 6 more, and Legacy ends up winning by 16. The Sabres 38-22 the final, moving to 4-4 on the season. That showdown with Mandan is going to be pretty good next week. And again, with the QRF ratings, everything getting sorted out, that should be interesting on how that one factors in. It's been an emotional week at St. Mary's. Boys basketball head coach Brent DeCook passed away after a near 5-year battle with cancer on Wednesday. One day later, football team taking on Dickinson. This was the Thursday night game. First drive for the Midgets. Troy Berg going up for Carson Weiler. Great throw, great catch for a big gain, but John Tuxer's team wasn't able to turn it into points. Still scoreless in the second. Nick Schumacher over the middle for Landon Gerving. Turning on the Jets. 67 yards for the score. St. Mary's up 7-zip on the road. Turnovers were an issue for the Midgets in this one. Berg looking to pass, but Preston Barsh makes the diving interception. What a play. St. Mary's out to prove its #1 ranking. The Saints quickly capitalized with good field position. Schumacher, such a dynamic QB. He could beat you with his arm, could beat you with his legs. The option for the first of his 2 rushing touchdowns of the night. Saints up 13-zip. Dan Schmeeker proving he's tougher than all of us. Rocking the shorts on a cold night. His team going to be tough to beat. Berg in the shadow of his own end zone. Completes to Ben Carlson. Is popped loose though. Isaac Felkley scoops it, and he's a running back, so he knows how to score too. 28-0. St. Mary's clinches a playoff spot with a 34-0 win and likely locks up the top seed in 11A. A good feeling for a team still grieving the loss of Coach DeCook.
It feels great. With hearing about him yesterday, it really kind of put us down, but we came through, fought hard, and we got the dub today. That was for him.
Next up, Jamestown and Minot. Jamestown still without their starting quarterback, Hochhalter, but here comes Jackson Walters throwing across the middle, but it's intercepted by Minot's Logan Conklin. It's 7-0 Jamestown, though, at that point, and they're going to add to it. Jacob Shemp, really tough runner. Watch him. This is what tough means. Not down, not down. Now he's down, but he's in the end zone celebrating a touchdown. 14-0, tack on the extra point. Jamestown goes on to win this one 21-0. So now Jamestown, depending on what happened to North tonight, which if you were watching, you found out what happened to North tonight, Jamestown can maybe jump up in the QRF ratings to take away North's spot for that 2 spot. How about it? North taking on Davies. And boy, what a scoring fest this was in the first half. You saw it on Midco Sports. It was so much scoring that they had to pull the plug on us in the third quarter. Here's the run by Oliver Lucht. All you can do is grab onto his jersey to try to slow him down. That was the start of a huge night for Lucht because Mason Clavel, the freshman quarterback, starting in the place of the injured man, Dylan Feldner, who's probably out for the rest of the season. That's Lucht again for the touchdown. It's 17-0 before North gets on the board. Nathaniel Fredel coming back for the touchdown catch from Danny Boutain. It's 17-7. And then it's Hayden Gross over the middle. Boutain putting on a clinic at QB. Makes it 24-14 Davies. Then, how about this? Mason Clavo to Luck, juggling catch. Goodbye. Another juggle there. 95 yards for the score. Oliver Lucht. We're in love, number 3. But North just didn't go away. How about this catch by Carson Schultes? 2 defenders in the area, no problem. 32-yard score. It's 31-21. We're not even to halftime yet. Now we are after Nick Hausbargen hauls in this touchdown catch. 38-21 Eagles at halftime. Yes, halftime. And then it's Friddle over the middle. Defenders, they made a good play. They just couldn't slow it down. And then Eli Mock returning the favor on the other end. The touchdown run makes it 45-28, and that's when things started to get put out of reach in a 52-28 final. Davies has won 4 straight since being eliminated from playoff contention. If I'm the Eagles, I just go ask anyone if they want to play that round 1 and say, let's go, line it up, because they are playing red hot right now. And guess who they get to end the season on? Yes, the Cheyenne Mustangs, the number 1 team in 11AA. That'll be fun. Senior Colby Jones had himself a night for Fargo South against Devils Lake, a ranked opponent, rushing for 224 yards and 4 scores. This one is a 38-yard touchdown, and South is up 90 seconds into the game. Devils Lake looking for a spark late in the first. Sam Engett gets in the backfield, takes down Colby Nissen for a very timely sack. Nissen gets revenge, though. Actually, Devils Lake not ranked in this week's poll. How about that from 5 yards out? Nissen in, makes it 14-0. South keeps pouring it on. Nissen gonna air it out. George Hannesgaard, 40 yards. Bruins pour it on tonight, 48-7. South all of a sudden, maybe trying to sneak into the playoffs, get some momentum and get things rolling. Big win for the Bruins. They close out things against Central next week. 11B, final night of the regular season for these schools. Kindred against Lisbon. Kindred already with that top spot locked up in the region, but Bowden Greenlee says that doesn't matter to me. 57-yard touchdown run for Bowden as Lisbon tries to build some momentum heading into the postseason. They'll be a 3 or 4 seed here. First play of Kindred's next drive, Charlie Beer gets the handoff on the reverse. He ends up taking it 59 yards to the house to put the Vikings on the board. So we have a 57-yard touchdown, a 59-yard touchdown. Can we get like a 61, a 62? All right, maybe not. Then in the third, Vikings put the nail in the coffin. Max McQuillan back in there, airs it out to Beaver, who barely hauls in the touchdown. That puts the Broncos away, makes it 27-8. Kindred wins it 33-8. The 4th-ranked Vikings heading into the playoffs with plenty of momentum. Nedrose against Bishop Ryan, another big one out in 11B out west. Cameron Bailey gets the ball here, takes it through the Lions defense all the way inside the 5-yard line. The Nedrose Cardinal racing down the sideline before he's finally taken down. Remember, Bishop Ryan coming off that big win over Velva Garrison. Shortly after, Josh Kalamaha takes the keeper and scores. for Nedrose. Later, it's Jet Lundeen. Remember how good he was last week, slinging touchdowns all over the place. The freshman quarterback here, he finds Logan Wentz, but actually it's picked off by Jordan Ball. Lions get it back, though, and here's Lundeen keeping it on the ground this time. Watch the athleticism that he has. We've seen some good quarterbacks, good young quarterbacks, a couple of freshmen, even on tonight's show with Mason Clabo. No Lions scores on our highlights, but they do win the contest, 28-12. So Bishop Ryan goes roaring into the night. They have an 8-1 record that they'll take into the postseason. Velva Garrison at the Lacs-Burlington. Caleb Rist has been really good for the Lacs-Burlington team. Ben Shep connects with Ty Englehart for Velva to get this drive going early. Later, Shep tries to get some more yards, but he's going to be picked off by Chance Mickelson. Watch that play. Mickelson taking it the other way, and he's going to get a nice return too, well into Aggie's territory. Velva gets the ball back. No damage done here. Mickelson there again to pick off Shep. Talk about having a nose for the ball. Then on the ensuing drive, Mickelson capitalizes. Here comes a touchdown pass. Pretty ball, 26-12. DLB wins it. Caleb Riss, 35 carries for 179 yards and a score in this one. Also had 4 catches for 46 yards. Big win for DLB, and Velva Garrison dropping a pair to close out the season. How about Bowman County and Beulah fighting for their region championship? 1 loss for Bowman County. Beulah undefeated and number 1 in the state. Quade Lardy passing to Bowden Duffield here. Across the middle, takes a big shot. And then it's going to be Lardy capitalizing on the end of this drive. The touchdown plunge, Bowman up 6-0. I've been promised some good, like a good burger highlight in here. So we'll see what that is. Amari Gilmore, he knows how to put up some burgers. Touchdowns all over the place for Amari this year. That makes it tied at 6. Clay Heimer, touchdown catch from Quade Lardy. Bowman up 14-6. And then Bowden Duffield, he's just going to start taking over the highlights if you don't mind. Gilmore's on the run here. He's been fantastic, looks like Derrick Henry, but Duffield is going to strip it away from him. And watch the other number 22 take it in for the touchdown. Bowden Duffield makes it 21-6, Bowman County on the road. And here comes the smoke. That's from the grill. Imagine how good that smelled on the football field. Then it's Duffield with the touchdown run. This is, I believe, the other Duffield, Bishop Duffield, making it 27-6. And then Trey Brandt's going to drop back. Brandt's been really good this season, but Bowden Duffield's been better on this night. The sophomore intercepts Trey Brandt, gets a pretty nice return out of it too. Boy, these highlights are brought to you by Duffield. Remember Caleb Duffield and how good he was a handful of years back for Bowman County? Clay Heimer, touchdown run, PAT good. And how about this score, guys? 34-8. Bowman County wins the region. They will get a top 4 seed when the bracket is revealed tomorrow, but they're just happy that they got the win tonight.
Really proud of our secondary. The preparation that we had into practice was really, really good. And then finally, what does it feel to be region champs? Great. Awesome.
A man of few words. Got to love that. So some big wins tonight. Congrats to Bowman County. Congrats to Cheyenne and in that streak for Century. We got to step away, but we'll be back to wrap things up. We've got zone coverage coming up next. You're watching Varsity Sports Live.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Hey, welcome back. It is time for zone coverage, some post-game from the coaches from the Dakotas after tonight's ball games. And I think we're going right back up to Jody Norstedt for some reaction up there. Jody?
Yeah, guys, and I mean, Cheyenne, they had taken it on the chin the last couple of years against Century in the Dakota Bowl, gotten shut out in both those contests. A couple of years ago was Cade Feeney running wild all over the place. Last year was just a really tough defense. Andrew Langang was in there. Cade Garcia was so good for him, no Shafter. But tonight, Cheyenne gets the upper hand. I don't know what that'll mean for the postseason, and it doesn't really matter whether you're the 1 or the 2 seed. I think these are probably the 2 top teams again in the state, so they'll both be able to host up until the Dakota Bowl, most likely. But a 14-0 win tonight for Cheyenne, a bruising ground game, and Jeremy Newton was plenty pleased afterwards.
It was great for us. It was great for our confidence. We came out and, the kids executed the game plan very well, and they were hungry for it. The defense played as well as they've played all year as a team, and that's, at this point in time in the season, those are the kind of games that we need out of them. Well, now we know we can play with anyone in the state, and we're going to, hopefully continue to build on what we got.
And how about that for the Mustangs, getting a big win, and now they get to finish against Davies. Davies has been on its spoiler tour, guys, and this has been impressive. So 4 straight wins for Davies. Will they knock off Sheyenne, and then can they somehow claim that they're the de facto state champ if Sheyenne somehow goes on to win the Dakota Bowl? I don't know. Crazier things have probably not happened in North Dakota high school football. Interesting to see how that plays out. But huge win tonight for Bowman County. The Bulldogs go to Beulah, the #1 team in the state, undefeated team in the 11A ranks, or 11B ranks rather, and Bowman County wins it handily, 34-6, I believe it was 34-8. Nick Walker really proud of his team and their effort.
Yeah, Bowden's had a phenomenal year for a sophomore at corner. He's played wise beyond his years. We're going to continue to try to get better, but whenever you win the turnover margin in a game, and I thought our offensive and defensive front held their own. Our ability to run the football was the key to this football game. That means a lot because these kids put in a lot of time, both in the offseason and throughout the season, and it means a lot to me for my assistant coaches. We've got a good thing going in Bowman County, and I'm proud of our kids.
So quickly, your 4 region champs in 11B, Hillsborough Central Valley, Kindred, Bowman County, and Bishop Ryan. Other teams making the playoffs: Lisbon, Harvey-Wells County, Central Cass, Velva, Garrison, Hayes, and Bishop Ryan, Thompson, Oaks, Nedrose, Shiloh, Christian, Langdon, Elmore, Munich, the Lacs-Burlington, a handful of those teams. And plus, the 9B playoffs get underway tomorrow for the first round. That top 8 seeds get the bye. Plenty of playoff action coming up tomorrow. We'll recap some of that on Monday via social media. And then Brad Anderson and Chase Miller will be back in the studio. We had a year off last year, but we're going to talk some playoffs next week on the Varsity Sports Live
I can't
show.
wait. That'll be great.
And Fargo,
thanks, guys.
Fargo Davies, we're just going to make them the mythical state champion like they used to do in the old days if they can keep running it out here. So, yeah, good for them, man.
If they beat Sheyenne, that'll be an interesting game. I think Wayne Weirmeyer is going to have his team pretty fired up.
All right. Thanks, Jody. See you next week.
Thanks.
All right, back in South Dakota, Jandy. Let's get to Harrisburg and Jefferson tonight. And Harrisburg has their MO has been we get behind, we come back, we win, and we just keep winning. We're 8-0 as they kind of did the same thing tonight. Harrisburg over Jefferson tonight, 42-24.
Yeah, and Brandon White talks a little bit about that and how they're able to continually come back because of the players on his team.
This group, I've never seen a group that we've had here come together so well. And that's why we win football games late. We don't have a lot of individuals out here that want the stats. They don't care. They just want to put the ball in the end zone offensively and defensively create turnovers. And so when you have that, a lot of good things are going to happen, and we can build off every one of those. Play faster early. I think we just kind of take too long to settle into games. Last week we were able to get off to a fast start, and we did it here up 7-0, but then we gave up that touchdown right away. We got to be better to start games, and our guys know that. We're adjusting practices week in, week out to make sure we're ready for those starts.
Jefferson had them down 24-21. Harrisburg scored 21 straight to come back and win it.
The nice thing is when they get down, they're not afraid, and they know they have Jacob Knuth, and now they've got Andrew Walter back. It's pretty comforting.
Ross and Carlson and all those guys, their lines are really good. Harrisburg gets to 8-0, and again, they play Brandon Valley in Brandon coming up next Thursday. Brandon Valley beat Rapid City Central tonight, so both teams 8-0. In 11AA, Pierre keeps on rolling. The Governors lost their first game of the year at Harrisburg, 56-20, but Pierre has come back, won 7 in a row now. The Governors over Aberdeen Central tonight, 52-35.
Yeah, and Steve Steele was excited and knows they still have some room to get better.
Yeah, and we still make some mistakes. We had a couple 3-and-outs tonight. We had that uncharacteristic pick there at the end where we had our crossing route over the middle for a first down, and then we took the deep shot. So we've still got a lot of things that we can work on. But like I said, when we're clicking, we feel very good about what we've got right now.
3-and-out is a loss. He's concerned about that with the offense that they have. That's a big deal.
That's not that big of a deal. But yes, that's obviously coach talk. You got to keep getting better, or you can't go backward. That's for sure. Lincoln
Keenholz 7 more touchdown passes tonight for Pierre as they beat Aberdeen Central 52-35. And in 9-man football, had Howard unbeaten in 9A, taking on Hanson, who was unbeaten in 9AA tonight. Howard over Hanson 26-0.
Yeah, this was the Corn Belt title, and often the best teams in the state come from the Corn Belt. We might have 2 state champions come out of this game, but Pat Rummel after the game talks about how they're one of those top teams in 9A and what it means for them to be a number 2 seed in 9A. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this win for them vaults them through the rest of the year.
All right. And I don't think we do have Pat Rummel, but Howard wins that game 26-0. So Howard 8-0. They are both in their respective classes. We think are going to be the number 1 seeds in the playoffs.
Yes. Yeah. If we want to hear from Pat Rummel, I think we do have him queued up here.
Well, obviously there's some really good teams in 9A this year, and so we just, it's old cliche, take one game at a time. We don't even know who we play, but we'll get these guys rounded up over the weekend, get them some film, and then we'll get back to the drawing board. But I'm hoping if things go well, this would solidify us to get the number 2 slot and be at home throughout playoffs. But we won't know that until late tonight. But that was what our whole goal, win the conference championship and win in the Corn Belt Special, and then now we just have to move on to the next season.
And I jumped the gun. Coach Rummel is right. Harriet Selby is probably going to be the number 1 seed in 9A, and Howard would be the number 2.
And really, you look at those top 4 seeds in 9A, and it's going to get real interesting if they win out to the semifinals. But we'll see if they can handle the heat.
Smet and Wall and Howard and Harriet Selby, those top 4 in 9A. All right. When we come back, the rundown will get you set for what's coming up here on Saturday on Midco Sports as well.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports is presented by Avon Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
College football here tomorrow, 6 o'clock, Minot State at Northern State. The rundown will be online. We will see you next week on Varsity Sports Live.